Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building.
Yes, indeed.
Brother Nuri Muhammad. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you, sir. It is an honor to be on the airways with you, Brother DJ Envy, and the great Charlamagne the Guy.
Yes, sir. Student Minister of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. You serve out of Moss number 74, right?
Yes, sir.
In Indianapolis.
Indianapolis.
How is that in Indiana? How did they receive the brothers in Indiana?
Klan country. It's Klan country. Birthplace of the Ku Klux Klan.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the fact that we never went through the civil rights movement or even the revolutionary movement, it makes that environment a little more challenging. But the good side of it is that we've been blessed because we never went through that we're the only game in town. So we have a facility where we have a barbershop, beauty shop, restaurant, school, daycare, as well as the mosque. And we've been able to be the executive producers of everything good, strong, and black in that area. So it's a blessed situation.
Is the Klan respectful?
Yeah,
I mean, no such thing as a respectful Klan member, but
just as the great judge said that they don't, Klan doesn't wear white sheets anymore. They're wearing blue police uniforms.
Yes, sir.
Black judges' robes, and of course, what we've seen from vaccinations and these emergency hysterectomies in the hospital, they're wearing white doctor smocks too. So we don't deal with and confront with the traditional face-to-face racist Klan member, but we get racism on those other levels.
Gotcha.
Now, you haven't been here in a while. For people that don't know, what made you join the Nation of Islam?
The traditional opening. What had happened was. But I was when I was coming up, I was in the streets hustling, selling weed, 11, 12 years old, powder cocaine, 15, 16. And me and my partner, we sold a half ounce a day on the weekdays, an ounce on the weekends. So we was making a lot of money. And I learned then that's why they call it crack rock, because they get two birds with one stone. One, they make a fiend for the drug. The other, they make a fiend for the money. And it's just as hard to stop selling as it is to stop using. So whenever I made my mind up that I wanted to get out of the streets, I didn't have much strength. But I was with a sister that was considered my girlfriend at the time, whose father was a sympathizer of the nation. She gave me Message to the Black Man, 2 lectures by the minister, and immediately my mind shifted. And 3 years after that, we got married, and we've been married now for 25 years.
Wow, congratulations. Yeah. See, that's what, you got to get you a black woman.
That's right.
I'm telling you. Change your life.
I'm telling you, ain't the most beautiful thing in the creation.
You had a ministry called Love Ye One Another?
Yeah, that was, of course, this is a scripture that comes from Jesus. And, one of the biggest myths about the nation is that we don't believe in Jesus. And the real truth is we believe in Jesus. Only difference is we believe in the right Christ and not a white Christ. We believe that, he had hair like lamb's wool and feet like brass burned in the oven. Wool is nappy. Brass is brown. You burn it, it's black. He had the olive complexion. Olives are either green, purple, or black. We know he wasn't green or purple. So we believe in that revolutionary black Messiah. And so whenever we study, we don't just quote Quran, but we also believe in all the messengers and prophets, and we use the scriptures of the Bible. So this Love Ye One Another is I won't call it a seminar, but it is a lecture designed to get us to look at the 2 commandments Jesus gave to us, which was number 1, love God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. Then number 2, to love your neighbor as you love yourself. 2 commandments, but inside of them there's 3 loves. So that love of self becomes the nucleus by which we can properly love our brothers, sisters, or our neighbors. So it's been a campaign that we've been able to take to maybe 35 cities over the last 18 months to be able to get our people to renegotiate their contract with their own self-worth and their self-esteem and begin to know who they are and whose they are, that we can have a greater expectation and manifest black excellence.
I always feel like, your first, last, and best love is self-love. And they say if you don't love yourself, it's impossible for you to love other people. But what about when your neighbor is a devil, when your neighbor is evil,
Well, this is and then you go to another scripture from Jesus. He said, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad was riding with the minister one day, actually driving, and the minister was riding with him. And he asked the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, he said, brother, what is the true religion of God? And the minister said, Islam. And the messenger, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, didn't say yes or no. He said, brother, the true religion of God is to do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Unfortunately, we like to put a footnote on it. It's the golden rule, but we turn it into the rusty platinum or the rusty aluminum rule when we treat other people the way they treat us. So if you have someone that's your brother or your neighbor and they are other than their own self, your job is to treat them the way you want to be treated, not treat them the way they treat you. So I think that it's a test when you are in human interaction. We test each other all the time. There's a verse in the Holy Quran that says that God would try us by the means of other people. So people know how to test you. But the test is whether or not you can treat them in spite of the way they act, the way you want to be treated, not the way they treat you.
Now, what about slave masters now? Because I feel like that's probably what kept slaves as slaves.
Well, in that situation, that's the mathematical computation that justifies revolution.
There you go.
You know, so you never allow somebody to hurt or abuse you. I'm not saying turn the other cheek to the extent that you end up suffering. You know, we believe that if you attack us, we fight with those who fight with us, but we're never the aggressor. You attack me with words, we respond with words. You attack physically, we respond physically.
Absolutely.
And we've had some situations, and every now and then we have to lay hands on people in Jesus' name.
Healing hands. That's all.
Until they start speaking in tongues, you know. But that so you know, that kind of, you talking about a slave master.
Yeah. Then
the appropriate response is not to turn the other cheek and love your enemy. The appropriate response is to Nat Turner, Mark Vesey, Gabriel Prosser, and rise up and overthrow oppression.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Now, how do we stick together as people? Because, you know, it seems like, you know, for us, it seems like we look out for ourselves and not for the community. How do we rise up, like you said, and start looking out for each other?
Man, that's a beautiful question. It ties into the original statement we talked about when we first opened the show. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said this is the solution to all black-on-black crime, violence, and suffering. He said, knowledge of self produces love for self, and love for self causes you to do for yourself. And since you are DJ Envy, you are my brother. Base word of brother is other. You're my other self. So if I know me, love me, and am doing right by me, I'm going to treat my other me the same way. I can't rob from my other me. I can't lie to my other me. I can't steal from my other me. And what happens is when we see each other like that, then as my brother, see, if I'm your brother, my daughter's your niece and your son is my nephew.
That's right.
So every problem become a family problem.
That's right.
So we return our mind back to, just by saying brothers and sisters, back to the old axiom we had before we were kidnapped and Caucasianized and Westernized. We used to say it takes a village to raise a child. So once we get back to that concept, I think that we'll be working together, because your rise is my rise. Your fall is my fall. What helps you helps me. What hurts you hurts me. And we mature out of just having, right now, all we have is sympathy for one another. Meaning that I don't like that something bad happened to you. But we got to graduate out of sympathy into having empathy for one another, which means that whenever something hurts you, I feel it like as if it happened to me. And when that type of spirit is among us, then you're going to see us united, looking out for each other, taking care of each other, and putting the good of the whole above all personal desires.
I totally believe in unity and group operation, but, you know, it's a quote that says, all your skin folk ain't your kinfolk. And I often wonder if everybody is meant to come along for the ride.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, in the economic blueprint in Message to the Black Man, he said, pool your resources, which is another way of saying unite, and your necessary qualifications for independence, but find 6 or 8 that have, listen to this, like minds. So more important than the body coming together or the color coming together is the mindset coming together. And the other side of it too, one of the big hindrance, Brother DJ Envy, for our unity is that we have a misunderstood word. We say we want to unite, but in our mind, we're not thinking unity, we're thinking uniformity. And there's a difference between unity and uniformity. See, uniformity means everybody does the same thing in the same way and looks the same while they're doing it. But unity means you do different things at different places, but for one common cause. We will never have uniformity. Breaking news, everybody's not going to be a member of your church. Everybody's not going to be a part of your denomination. Everybody's not going to join your fraternity. Some people going to do different things in a different way. That's uniform. We need unity.
That's right.
Which means we do different things in a different place at a different time. And that's the way that God made the body. There's a verse in the Quran says, surely there's a message in creation for those who believe. Look how he created us in the best of modes. Inside the body, this is not a sign of uniformity, it's a unity. You got different organs that look different, do different things at a different place at a different time, but for the survival of this one organism. Well, what would happen if our organizations work like that? Organizations. Everybody did so you be NAACP, be the liver if that's your job. Urban League, be the kidney if that's your job. Be the heart, be the whatever you are, play your role and let us do what we can do in unity for the survival of us as a people.
I agree with that totally, and it's so interesting because black people love to say we not monolithic, but we like to say that to white people.
Yeah.
Amongst each other, we feel like we want everybody to be uniform.
Yeah. It's God bless my church and nobody else. God bless my denomination and nobody else. But breaking news, God is bigger than your church, your denomination. God is bigger than religion.
All right.
He's the Lord of all the worlds. And he's the master of this day that we live in called judgment. So he's moving the chess pieces as he does. And that's why I am I'm so in love with the way and the word of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, because he represents to me the perfected representative of God in the way a human being should be. He thinks so big, and he's never isolated to denomination or religion. He sees God in everything and pulls the God out of everyone. And that's the kind of spirit we need. We need more of us to have as much Jesus in us as the minister has Jesus in him.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, when they removed them off social media, what was the effects and what were your thoughts?
Let's not say remove. They banned him.
Banned him.
Yeah, remove sound too sexy.
Well, of course, we knew that at some point
it was going to happen.
Come on now, we knew that because we social media. The value of technology is that technology eliminates space and time. But not only that, social media eliminates the middleman. We had to always filter our information if you wanted to get to a broad audience through the traditional 6 networks that were available. Social media allows you to bypass all of that. So what was happening, the minister was getting direct access to the minds of the people where they could weigh them for themselves in the privacy of their home or in their car, and it was changing the way people perceived him. So we knew that at a certain point that they were going to make that attack. But there's an old saying that Big Mama used to say, Big Mama got a gospel. The gospel Big Mama, some of the stuff Big Mama said just as true as Matthew, Mark, and Luke, and John. Birds of a feather, flock, that's Big Mama.
Yeah.
Family that prays together.
Yeah.
You lie down with dogs, you're going to get up with fleas. That's Big Mama knew what she was talking about. But she said, look, baby, look, if anybody makes you, they can break you. Media did not make Farrakhan, so they can't break Farrakhan. He has soldiers. And whenever they turned him off of social media, we as his soldiers turned it up to make sure that while we were there, that he was there. And whenever we are in the streets, that we are a little more aggressive at getting the way and the word of this man out to our people. So, I mean, it was a little blow, but the greatest attribute of a soldier is adaptability. We make the adjustment and we keep it moving. We will be successful. If God be for you, who can be against? No weapon formed against the righteous shall prosper. So we continue to push.
Let's talk about some of the misconceptions about the minister. What are some of the misconceptions that you feel like personally, as one of his soldiers, you have to clear up?
Well, of course, the label of anti-Semite, the label of hater, the label of bigot, these
homophobia.
Homophobia. All of these. See, we learned something. Maybe the only thing I learned good in the public school system, when I was coming up, was there was a discussion. I read a discussion in our history book where the anthropologists, the biologists, and the scientists were meeting with Adolf Hitler. And they were trying to say to him, how are you getting ready to sell this idea that blonde hair, blue eyes, and pale skin is superior to black people when you know that they are the fathers and mothers of all art, science, and civilization? How are you going to override the Mendelian law that says that you can get recessive from dominant, but you can't get dominant from recessive? Black skin, brown eyes, or dominant white skin. How you going to override that? Mm-hmm. And listen what Adolf Hitler said. He said, if you repeat a lie long enough, it will become the truth. Mm. So they knew that the science of the mind is whatever you feed the mind the most is what wins. So what the enemy has been doing is putting the minister out there with all of these labels and repeating the lie over and over again that it can become the truth even though it's not the truth. So we have to always challenge that. Does it ever really
become the truth though?
It doesn't become, that's why you see these?
Yeah, okay, got you.
It doesn't become the truth. It becomes the perception of truth. Mm-hmm. And perception of reality for most people is their reality. So we are always, debunking and taking the toxicity out of the environment that the mainstream media and the government has put out about this beloved man. So it is that, mm-hmm. we have to deal with it. And we do. And by the grace of God, as we have seen, that no weapon that they've ever formed against him, no matter how bad they vilified him, he's been successful. And when you look at this man, just look at him. 86 years young, beautiful. So he's unfazed. He's an unbothered black man. Mm-hmm. So he's an example for us, but as his soldiers, we're going to remain on the battlefield hurling truth and falsehood till we knock out his brains.
One falsehood that they still love to spew is the conversation of who killed Brother Malcolm X. Mm-hmm. And I was recently heard on the Joe Budden podcast, and Joe Budden asked the question, who killed Malcolm X? And they were pushing the narrative that it was the nation. Mm-hmm. How do you push back on that?
Well, of course, this is one of those other recycled lies. Mm-hmm. And if you notice that every time the consciousness of the people raises every 10 or 15 years, they always come back with this recycled lie that y'all killed Malcolm. And I always tell when I watched The Godfather of Harlem too. But I remember on the first episode, it said, events have been fictionalized for dramatic effect.
Yes, sir.
Now, I don't know what everybody else thinks, but fiction mean we lied about some stuff to make this more exciting. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, that disclaimer that they put on The Godfather of Harlem should have been on Betty and Coretta. It should also be on the movie Malcolm X made by Spike Lee. And even in the autobiography of Malcolm X, there's missing chapters that the Schomburg Library here in New York, they just bought them.
Really?
There's over 13 missing chapters of the real autobiography of Malcolm X that were just purchased in the Schomburg Library
that Alex
right
Haley
now.
Wrote?
That Alex Haley wrote.
Wow.
But he excluded them because he didn't want, one, to, in his words, certain inflammatory speech by Malcolm to be in there. And the other one is the fact that what he put in the book exonerated the Nation of Islam. So Manning Marble said that whenever the attorney in Memphis that used to own these files before he sold them, when he met with the attorney gave him 15 minutes alone with the paperwork. Mm-hmm. And when he looked at the paperwork, he left and said, I know for sure that the nation did not kill Malcolm X. What we've been given, every time our black leaders are portrayed by Hollywood, we've been given the authorized King James Version that has been diligently compared and revised from translations and former translations. We've never been given the real truth about none of them, including Malcolm X. So that that the show did kind of allude to and push people back toward that. And of course, we know why they're doing it, but we are defending it. And it's not an actual fact. Malcolm X was not killed by the FOI. Malcolm X was killed by the FBI.
Ooh,
that's who killed Malcolm X.
I know, because I've heard Brother Malcolm's daughter say the same thing, that the nation didn't kill him.
Didn't do it. That's right.
I lost my train of thought. But also Brother Malcolm said that I was part of the NOI. I know what they're capable of.
I know what they're capable of doing.
Yeah.
See, when Malcolm X was in Mecca, he was being followed by the CIA, not the FOI.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever Malcolm tried to land his plane in France, the French government told him that he could not get off the plane because they didn't want him assassinated on French soil. Do you think we was able to call over there and tell the French president, don't let Malcolm off the plane?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know on January 4th, 1957, they started the wiretap of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and put him under 24-hour surveillance? Well, if Malcolm X was killed February 21st, 1965, they had an 8-year run of monitoring the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad 24 hours a day. Where's the footage or the record showing that he had something to do with the assassination of Malcolm X?
Mm-hmm.
And every time they talk about Malcolm leaving, they always say he defected from the nation. Well, whenever you use the term defect in manufacturing, that's whenever some product has gone bad.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever a product goes bad, they don't stop production. They go back, make some tweaks, and produce a new and better. You don't see a person drive a Nissan Maxima and crash the Nissan Maxima, and they say, woe is me, the Nissan Maxima defected, we can't make no more cars. No, they figure out a way to make a new one and a better version of it.
Mm-hmm.
So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad manufactured Malcolm X. And if he manufactured him and he defected, surely he has the ability to make another one, a newer one, that's better. And he made a newer one and a better one in the perfected representative of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no reason for him to do that. He gave an instruction, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, then, do not touch Malcolm, do him no harm. We follow instructions with loyalty to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad then like we do to the minister now.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody would have ever done that from us. Interesting that whenever he was shot, two of the gunmen that they arrested, Thomas 15X Johnson and Norman 3X Butler, and then the only one that admitted to doing the shooting was a man named Thomas Hagen or Talmadge Hayer. I said, man, why come they put the X's on all of them, but then put the X on his? I went and started doing the research in the COINTELPRO, and that's another problem. We lazy learners with a Google brain.
Especially now, yeah.
Yeah, we Google brained. We just look up stuff and living off sound bites. We don't go and dig. And so the slave master said yesterday the best place to hide something from a nigga is to put it in a book.
Yes, sir.
And that still stands. So we haven't done no research. We just go, I seen the movie. I heard. But hearsay in a movie is not actual fact. Historical document is. And when you look at it, you'll find that Thomas Hagen, the only one that admitted to pulling the trigger, said, number one, the two that you were talking about, Thomas 15X and Norman 3, they were not there at all. I was there with somebody named Lee or Leon, and I was there with another one named Will, and I was there with another person named Ben, who we had met in their homes prior to this move that we were making to assassinate Malcolm X. Then he said, I was not in the nation. His mother said he wasn't in the nation. His cousin said, this is an affidavit inside of the court documents. So, we weren't, no, it's a little bit, some remixing been going on.
Mm-hmm.
In the streets they say they stepped on it. They went to the store, health food store, got some isotol and some B12 and some baking soda and fattened it up and re-rocked it and sold it to us like it was pure. This is not the truth.
They don't ever reach out, because I know they have the documentary coming on Netflix, Who Killed Malcolm X. I think it's coming out in January. They don't ever reach out to the nation for comment or?
That's too much like right.
Yeah.
That's too much like right. And I would have hoped, especially with this Godfather of Harlem, that they could have reached out to us. Every time Hollywood portrays us, we walking around with suits on that's 8 sizes too big, funny haircuts, steak and shake bow ties. They had Malcolm on there walking with his shoulders all slumped over, hands in his pocket.
Stand up straight.
No, we don't believe in that. Hands in your pocket is a mark of laziness. The code of a FOI is quick thinking, fast moving, clean inside and out, right down to the modern time. They had in the movie, they had that we were getting people off of drugs by chaining them to beds. We've never got nobody clean in the nation by chaining somebody to a bed. We get you clean by putting knowledge in your head. That's the transformative power, but they always find a way to undermine what we've done. So I would challenge the listening audience to not be a lazy learner. Do some research. Get to COINTELPRO facts. Go study J. Edgar Hoover's counterintelligence program. Read the ones that document that they celebrated the assassination of Malcolm X. Read the documents that tell you that Gene Roberts, Malcolm X's head of security, was in fact an NYPD officer and an FBI agent who talked Malcolm X out of having a search procedure that day at the Audubon Ballroom and told all the guards to bring no weapons. And when Malcolm got shot, Gene Roberts came and gave the man mouth to mouth. You don't give a gunshot victim mouth to mouth. You cover the wound so that no air can get in. Mouth to mouth. He wasn't trying to save him. He was trying to make sure that he died. Did you know Malcolm X was trying to come back into the nation before he died?
No.
And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told him, well, if you want to come back, you have to put out some of the fires that you've started. Who knows? That day at the Audubon Ballroom, Malcolm might have been standing on that rostrum prepared to put out the fires, but before he can put them out, somebody opened fire on him. Not the nation. We didn't kill Malcolm X. The same people that bombed Tulsa, Oklahoma, Black Wall Street.
Yes, sir.
The same people that broke the Garvey movement.
That killed
the
Martin Luther
same
King
people
Jr.
that put the Tuskegee experiment that killed Dr. King. It's the same government that assassinated Malcolm X. And the way of the devil is throw the rock, hide your hand. And in this case, they didn't just throw the rock and hide their hand, but they actually threw the rock, hid their hand, and then blamed the throwing of the rock on somebody else, and it's us. But we didn't throw that rock. We didn't kill Malcolm X. Not the FOI, the FBI killed Malcolm X.
What do you think about politics right now and everything that's going on with politics? Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, and everything that's going on in the Democratic Party. What are your thoughts?
Politics, and it's rough, whether it's the Democrats or the Republicans, it's just challenge, to
Right.
get involved, really. Because everything seems like it's the same flavor with a different label on it. Unfortunately, we have, I think that as a people, we have invested too much into politics and not enough into spiritual reform and economic reform of our people. We made a big mistake, I believe, in the 60s and the 50s and the 40s fighting for civil rights when we should have been fighting for silver rights.
Yeah.
We should have been doing more independent economic affairs instead of wasting so much time trying to get them to accept us. We had, at the time, before integration, we had black hotels, black cab companies, black bus companies, black restaurants. And as soon as white people said, y'all can come and eat with us and sleep with us and ride in our cars, all of ours went out of business. Integration meant disintegration because we misappropriated into civil rights instead of silver rights. Today, we're doing the same with politics. We are putting too much of our vested interest into electing a benevolent white person into office or a Negro that's going to be the manager of white people's affairs to become the highest position in the land. We need to invest more time in the spiritual development and economic development as a people. So I'm not really personally excited about it. Based off the scriptural lens that you use. I've never read in the Bible or Holy Quran where a politician ever freed a people. In fact, every time I read the scripture, the politicians were always in cahoots with the rulers and the kings that were the enemies of the messengers and the prophets. So I believe, in my humble opinion, that the scripture where it says, talking about Jesus from Isaiah, it says that he will be the wonderful, the counselor. He'll be the mighty God. He'll be the Prince of Peace, the everlasting Father, and upon his shoulders shall be a government of peace. Well, what sits on a man's shoulders is his head. So in this Jesus figure, you can find in his head the system of government that we need for not just America, but for the world. I believe that the man on the scene today, that messianic man of the moment that has that government on his shoulders, is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Listening to that man really would save America. That is the solution. So whichever president will be willing to bow, atone, repent, give reparations, and follow divine guidance, I think that we'll be able to have a better future. But it doesn't look like, and it's not written, that America will turn in the way of God. And what we've seen with Rome, Egypt, Babylon, Sodom, and Gomorrah, anytime you got a nation where everything goes, that nation will soon be gone.
That's right. I like what you said about economic empowerment, because I've been reading a lot about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I'm reading a lot from his attorney, Dr. William Pepper. And everybody knows Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. As soon as he made that pivot from civil rights to civil rights,
that's right.
That's when he got killed.
That is whenever they kill. And his wife said it.
Mm-hmm.
Before she passed, she said that they killed my Martin because he got involved in economics. See, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said it like this. He said, business is the activity of life. This is the responsibility of any people. Billie Holiday said like this, that mama may have and papa may have, but God bless a child that has its own. You translate that into spiritual politics or economic. See, the Jews might have, Chinese people might have, but God bless a people that have their own. Right now, do you know we brought in $1.3 trillion last year as a people? Out of 226 nations on the earth, that makes black people in America the 8th richest nation. We brought in $600 billion more than Spain, $700 billion more than Mexico. Yet Spain has 46 million people like we do, and they maintain a 208,000 square mile landmass, and they own everything. Mexico has 131,700,000 people, and they're maintaining 771,500 square miles with half the money we have. Yet they have whole countries, and we don't have nothing we can call our own. Something happened to us. We got to get back into what they call today financial literacy. But we got to do it quick, because we got to start doing something for ourselves. We got the dollars. We just need some more sense to go with them dollars.
Absolutely.
We need some more sense, because right now we the leaders in unnecessary spending. We always buying stuff we don't need with money that we don't have from people that we don't like to impress people that we don't even know. And the Negro, the black mind right now has been hardwired where happiness is connected to spending when it needs to be hardwired to investing and into saving. And if we can renegotiate the contract in the black psyche from happiness to spending to investing and saving, I think we'll be able to build a bright future for our people.
Have you ever studied the relationship between Martin Luther King Jr. and Honorable Elijah Muhammad? You've seen pictures of them together, but I always wondered, was there an actual relationship? I've always wanted to ask the minister that, but never did.
Of course, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad met with Dr. King, and when he met, the same FBI that was responsible for plotting to produce factional disputes in the nation between Malcolm X, they was outside the National House in Chicago when they met. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, in his Theology of Time lecture series, describes a little bit, gives us a little bit publicly of their conversation. And he talked about the way that Dr. King was in agreement with various aspects of the teachings that he publicly never had displayed. My mindset has always been that whenever he left the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and he said to the world, "I've been to the mountaintop," I always said that must have meant, like the mountain raises you up. He met somebody that raised him up in intelligence. Look at Dr. King's language. I have spied the promised land. I may not get there with you, but we as a people will see the promised land. And he graduated. Dr. King is not a dreaming integrationist. He matured to become a wide awake revolutionary. And that's why they had to get rid of him, because he had already galvanized so many millions to support him, and he was getting ready to evolve them into thinking more independent for self. So I'm not for sure all of that went on within there, but in my inference, deduction, and reasoning, mathematically computing, I think when he met the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I think he had been to the mountaintop. And that's what changed his perception and made him go after revolutionary independence instead of being a dreaming integrationist.
What does relational malnutrition mean?
The relational in other words, we interact with one another, but we don't know how to properly love one another. And by us not loving one another, husbands and wives are not getting what they need. Children are not getting from the parents. We're not getting what we should offer to one another as brothers and sisters. So this was a term and a concept that I tried to build on in 2 books that we've been blessed to write. One's called Before You Say I Do and After You Say I Do. And you know, I don't know if people are aware of this, but the most important decision you will ever make in your life after choosing to believe in God is the mate you choose to spend the rest of your life with.
Mm.
Your mate will either inspire you to grow into your greatness or they'll confine you to complacency.
Mm.
They'll either be your other half or they'll make you half of yourself. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, like, a good relationship will make you more youthful and bring out the best in you, and a bad one will age you prematurely and bring out the worst. So choose wisely. But relationship malnutrition, in the sense of husband and wife, means that we as men don't know how to properly love our women, and they don't know how to properly love us. So we end up suffering from a relational malnutrition. And you know, when a human being is malnourished, sickness, disease, and ultimately death visits them. So why do so many relationships, brother to brother, break down? Why are so many relationships, husband and wife? Black people have the highest divorce rate in America of anybody on earth, 75% divorce rate.
Mm.
Relational malnutrition. So we have to begin to digest the information and knowledge that will give us the proper nutrients that will teach us how to properly relate to one another, so that I have in me what I'm supposed to have that I can give to others when I come in contact with them.
And after you say I do, you talk about the first functional relationship. So what defines a functional relationship?
Well, there's a verse, again, in the Bible and another one in the Quran, but there's a verse that says, lean not on thine own understanding, but in all thine ways acknowledge him, God, and he will direct your paths and he will show you the way. The way that we can get a proper definition of how to relate is we have to subordinate the way we feel and think to what God said. And the description of a man and his role is maintainer, protector, and provider. And the description of a woman is the comfort, the consoler, and the helpmeet of a man. And whenever 2 people are following those roles and striving to become the best at it, no, not a relationship that's given 50-50. Relationships are not 50-50. They're 100-100.
Oh,
you got to be 100% of what you're supposed to be, and then she has to be 100% of what she's supposed to be. That's how you have the ideal functional relationship. But we have to lean not on our own understanding, but lean on what the Lord of the world said a male and female should be, interact properly with one another, and help each other become the best that we can. And then the homes that we live in. This is what hurt me, Brother DJ Envy, is that we've been invited to speak by all different kind of organizations. And what hurt me is that after we got finished, no matter who it was, the organizers always had relationship problems. So we would always be in the lobbies of the hotel going back and forth trying to figure out how we can help them. And I said, man, if you out here fighting for freedom, justice, and equality in the streets, and then you got to come home and fight again, you're never going to have the energy to be the best you can be. And the last thing that a black man wants to come home to after fighting in this world is to have to go round 2 with his own woman.
yes, sir.
And the last thing that a woman wants to come home to after fighting in this world is to come home to a man that ain't been fighting at all.
Mm.
So when marriage is done right, our houses become a spiritual recharge center where we can unplug from this no good, wicked, racist world and come to a place of pure love where we can extract both peace and power. So it hurt to see that these leaders, these organizers, are suffering at home, fighting at home, and fighting in the streets, which means they're less effective. So I said, man, instead of me having to keep on doing these little sidebar meetings all the time in these hotel lobbies by these copying machines, shutting down the business office, I said, well, here's before you say I do and here's after you say I do. Now we try to do like the old school doctors tell, look, take 2 of these and call me in the morning. And so far, they've been a great blessing to those that have studied these books.
Where do they get them? After you say I do, and what's the other one?
Before you say I do.
Before you say I do.
NuriMuhammad.com is the easiest way to do it. NuriMuhammad.com.
And give me your Twitters and Instagrams and all that stuff so they can follow you.
Give them all the information.
On Brother Nuri is my Twitter. Nuri Muhammad is everything else on Facebook as well as on Instagram. And, come visit us.
No, I'm happy that you came because I always like to, empower you as well as Brother Wesley Muhammad because, they always talk about, oh, there's only Farrakhan in the NOI. Like, nah, there's some soldiers out there that have the potential to be just as powerful.
Well, the minister always tells us that. Of course, we say, no, sir. But our assignment really is not to be the teacher. We are the bearers of witness. So I always tell people, I'm not trying to teach to get you to become my student. I'm bearing witness so that you can pull your desk up next to my desk, where we both can be in the same class, learning from this master teacher that God has gifted us with, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So I would hope that if you liked anything I had to say, if you like me and love what I had to say, you're going to love what my teacher has to say. And I would hope that our time together would inspire people more so to want to listen to him than listen to me.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, sir.
And Charlamagne, you see Brother Nuri's hair?
His hair real, my brother.
You see Brother
Yours
Nuri's
not real. Do not compare your hair to Brother Nuri's hair.
Brother
Nuri's hair is real.
I'm just telling you. My hair is real, too.
He's lived a stress-free life. You had bacon this morning.
I didn't have no bacon this morning.
In decades, all right?
As we said, just one time.
Stop it.
Brother Nuri Muhammad, thank you for joining us, brother.
Thank you, sir.
All right. It's The Breakfast Club. Good morning.